And I'll trade you a favor. I'll keep giving you all my 30 years plus of body shop secrets if you subscribe. Deal? Deal. Okay, so this is wax and grease remover. Hey, thanks for watching the channel. Glad to be back on G28. I'm gonna call it garbage Camaro, a little bit less because you guys are you're kind of mad at me for calling it garbage. It's not, and we're working on making it into the best Camaro that's ever been. So anyway, we are at this point. The last time you saw us working on this thing, and by the way, thank you for subscribing. It's really cool to see the numbers grow, and it's because of you guys, so thanks so much. But the last time we saw GC, or G28, it was right here. So come and take a look at this. Before me and Ron jetted off to Cars and Coffee, I put a rust treatment on this stuff. I'm happy with how this turns out, but there's still some pinhole stuff. And this looks, it's a little sketch, man. Look at, like, right here. Hello, hello. And there's some pinholes in here. You can see my fleshy pad showing through there. That's not supposed to be there. So, and that's torn. And this is really thin, and it gets hard to weld to when it's really thin. So, we're gonna do this today. Today is a door skin. Door skin, skin of the doors. It's right here. It's brand new out of the box. Ooh. Typical AMD niceness. And yeah, except right here. You can tell I've been kind of hammering on that. Nothing to see there. It didn't fall off a stand. So, obviously, it goes right here. I'm just going to do it. It just kind of feels fun to do this. Obviously, the skin goes over top of the frame. And I did test fit it. There's a little bit of flange kicking up, but there you go. So now you can visualize, like I can visualize, new looking door. So these edges have to be hammered in. If you remember when we did the roof skin along the sides of the roof rail, tap, 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 it's got to be, so it's the same thing, only this time all the way around the door. So it's kind of fun to see that. The other thing is this, and I'm going to put it down right here. It's not a pinch 360 degrees on these doors. You've got an extra panel right here where it's folded down. It's about 3/4 of an inch wide all the way across here. And that is tack welded to this part right here. You can see there's one of them. So it's a combination of a pinch fit and a tack weld. And I'm believing that this is the original door, and we're going to flip this over, and I'm going to talk about how the factory put this thing on in the first place. Before I do that, let's look at this impact beam, because that's what this piece is called. In the first place, look at the condition of the primer. I'm very, very happy with that. So it's in nice shape. This is what makes these doors so freaking heavy. And I thought when I was doing the Z-Sled project that I could lessen the weight of the doors. I could probably lose about 25 pounds by just taking this impact beam out and maybe replacing it with some tube steel or something, put a reinforcement in there. But then I started thinking to myself, if I ever did that and the next person that enjoys this car had something happen, the worst thing happens and somebody rams into him or something like that, and I've diminished the strength of this door, it's not a good scenario, man. It's just not. So as much as we want to put full carbon doors on here, tube, all that stuff, no. My advice to me was leave this alone. And that's exactly what I'm doing on this car as well. Even though it is really heavy. So what we're going to do is, all right. Right here, you can see there's a spot weld there, there's a spot weld there. And that, well, I'm trying not to cut my hands apart to ribbons. So this is obviously where that thing wraps around. So I got to get rid of that before I can wrap the new skin around it. But it also gives me clues as to how it was attached from the factory. Now, it was a resistance weld and not a plug weld. So I got to remember that, because I'm going to weld this back on, but I'm not going to punch the holes and do a plug weld in the conventional sense. A really smart guy, Glenn Massey, basically walked me through this process about 500 times. I saw him work while we were working in collision shops. So we're going to get rid of this first, and I just noticed this right here. We got to dress that up a little bit, because this, we got to pinch that in, so I don't want to capture rust. Anyway, so we'll go through that process a little bit here. So I got a little bit of grinding to do, and that's fine. We're going to suit up and prep the door for the skin. This door here, I know, shut up and work. I know. This door here, not using it. Not using it. I'll use the guts and I'll use the glass, but I'm not using the frame. This is a later model door. The difference in the doors is in here, in this pocket. In case you didn't watch the episode where we tore the doors down, look how shallow this is. That and that are rivet holes. Walk with me. Walk over here. Look how deep this pocket is. Yeah, it's deeper. It's set in more. Same place geographically, and I've measured it, and it's also screwed in. These are threaded inserts that are welded into the factory door frame. Not the same. Not going to work unless I have a 75 and up door interior panel on the driver's door and a 74 and down. No, it's not going to work. So this is scrap. We're keeping all the good parts out of it. I don't know if that's a good part or not. I think it is. And I've got a new door shell coming. I got it from AMD because I exhausted all of the outlets. I went on Marketplace. I threw it out into the universe. I found a pair of doors up in Missouri that the guy claimed they were rust-free. But I had to go to Missouri and get them, and it was still several $100s, and that's a good deal if you want original doors. It just didn't work out. Not this time. I'm sure, you know, in 6 months there's going to be a guy right down the street that's got a couple of door shells for me, but by then it's too late. So anyway, that's the diabolical plan. Skinning this guy, mothballing this guy. So in the meantime, all right, that's where we're at. Let's get some destructive equipment and we'll go, right? All right, so you can see what I've done right here. All I've done is grind the paint off that's exposed where those resistance welds are. You can see the dimple there, there. There's probably one there. I know there's one there. I know there's one there. So Obviously, there's no one there, and this, yeah, that confirms. So now what I do, now that I've identified them, there's no adhesive, there's no weld, there's no nothing. It's just resistance welds and pinched in place. So now we come and grind those out, and it comes off like Grant going through Richmond, right? Oh. Death of a belt. All right, join me in having a moment for this and wishing it well in its next journey and off into the universe. Because it's foobarred right now. All right. All right, so we've got exposed surface rust right here. This is a great way to get rid of some of that stuff. Obviously, these fibers shed off, so please wear your safety glasses, and it sheds a bunch of dust up into the air. So we're going to be wearing some PPE with that, but I want to show you what I'm going to be doing first. Yeah, it's just surface rusty there. That's original paint, right, which is kind of cool. But we're just going to uncover as much of this metal as we can, put a treatment on it, go around here, and then assess what needs to be replaced. I've got all of that existing flange off of here from the original door skin, right? It's gone. This metal is in great condition up until about here, and then it's sketchy over there. and just pinholes and stuff like that. So anyway, I'm going to get it all naked and then see what to do. All right, a couple of things. First place, I was leaning on this sucker hard. This thing is a beast, so thank you, Milwaukee. I was pressed on it so hard that when it caught an edge, it just about threw me across the room. But anyway, down here, this is all in great shape, right? Over here, the metal's in pretty good shape until here, and it's still, you know, once that surface rust is gone, just like on the inside, we found good metal. There's a bit of a hole right there. I don't like that. And then we got pinholes here. And in here, it's a little sketchy. So obviously, I've got to put new metal in here, and I might put a section in here. The other thing is that, yeah, I missed this piece too. So we'll take Mr. Fiber Wheel, stripping disc, whatever you want to call it, clean that out some more, and I don't know, man, I'm just going to do this in a two-piece patch. It's going to be super easy. I'll do a flat piece here, go around the radius. I'll do another flat piece here, and I'll make the bottom of this area. Then we got something solid to pinch our door skin onto. And we're getting rid of the rust. I'm going to treat this with some Pickle X and then probably some weld-through primer, and then we'll be good to go pretty dang soon, right? This is exciting. This is exciting. A little bit more work to do. All right. PPE. Oh, one more thing. I'm going to get a smaller tool right in here. The big flat wheel wouldn't get in there. Never assume that it's good enough because, you know.
Assume. You make an ass of you and me.
So we're going to get in there. I think, will this guy fit? Ouch, went through my glove finger. Yeah, that'll fit. That'll get in there. And we use that on the inside of the door. These are not, by the way, the wire wheels that I used doing the aluminum wheels because, no. Set that right on the floor real quick. Oh, by the way, in case you haven't noticed, the shirt I'm wearing is my buddy's shop, Mike Regulo, Regulo Automotive Upholstery. He's a really talented guy and proud to support him wearing his shirt. And yeah, so typically I wear a Paintucation shirt. Paintucation. If I see him sleep deprived, I am. And I've also finally figured out, thanks to my buddy John, how to provide you guys click links to go and get the stuff that I'm using. And these fiber wheels are one of them. I think I get them from Eastwood, if I'm not mistaken. They're what's it called? The thing that chucks up in the drill it stays the same, but the wheels are replaceable. And they're just super handy, man. So there's a link in the description for these guys. So a little bit more trimming, get rid of that nub and that nub because they'll open up my hands. And then we'll start making some metal. All right, so this is my trusty Pickle X20. I'm going to go ahead and soak it on this pitted rust in here, and I'll come back and work it in. Give it a hot minute to do its thing. But I always like to come back in and use a scuffing pad and work it into the pores, because it can even scale some of the rust. And if you ever use this stuff, you're going to know instantly why it's called Pickle X, because that's exactly what it smells like. It smells like dinner pickles at the 4th of July party. So this car's a two-door, so it's a door skin. But if this was a four-door and I had to skin all the doors, would that be a foreskin? I don't know. See, as hard as we worked with that stripping disc, another reason I like to work it down with the red pad. You can see the rust slurry coming up. So I'm just going to keep working this. There's other products that do the same type of thing. This is a mild acid phosphatizer, blah, 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 science, science, science. But it converts the rust at the same time as it strips and super cleans the metal. The biggest benefit is on bare steel, obviously. Not obviously, but it puts a barrier coating on it, and it stops it from flash rusting. You can see pieces on the Camaro body that I Pickle X'd a year ago, right? And they're still not rusted. Now, granted, it's inside, we're in here. But that's the beauty of using those tools, is that they help us. They're designed to be an assistant to the process. Okay, now I know I've got rust here. I'll deal with that. I'm not going to deal with it now, but I'll deal with that. So if you're taking notes on stuff to bust me on, we'll deal with it later. All right, so now I always like to wipe off the excess with a paper towel. And that gets us going. Then we can start focusing on metal. Okay, so I still like this double stamping of Chevrolet here. And somebody told me, and I don't know if this trivia is true, you guys that know might know, but this is stamped Chevrolet here. But somebody was saying that the inner doors are the same for Firebird as they are for Camaro. And Firebird is not a Chevrolet mark. So maybe this door was designated for Chevy. We put, I don't know, maybe it's a shipping thing, or I don't know what what it's called. But I'm distracted, surprise. But these spot welds here are just gnarly. They're this tiny little, you can hear. That's my glove being shredded at the fingertip. I'm going to smooth those suckers over because we ain't playing that. I'm not going to lay my fingertips open on something stupid. Much better. All right, so I'm going to cut a couple of pieces of metal out. One of them is going to be right here. I don't need a template for that because this is a straight line. I can figure that out. But right here, I'm going to have a piece here on the shoulder because it's rotten up on that flat. And I'm going to recreate this piece here. So I want to know exactly, otherwise my door skin is not going to fit, right? So basically what I'm doing is I'm just creating an outline to compare to so I can trim and fit this thing. And when I put, well, I don't know if that's important or not. No, I'm not going to put that there. Anyway, now I know that's the shape I need to recreate on this bottom flange here. So now I can cut without stress. Except, oh no, here it is. I'm just going to make an incision and cut this corner off, and then we'll deal with building that back. And again, I'm going to use as much of the original metal as possible because it's in good shape until it's not. All right, so cutter thing. All right, give me a sec. I bet that's a nice sound. I bet that sounds really nice. Oh, Lord! So I've got 3 templates, basically. Now I cut new pieces out that look like this and put them back there. So I've got my patches, my 20 gauge that I got from AMD, and there's the 3 shapes that I need to make. Now, normally I'd take a Sharpie and go around the outside, just cut on the inside of that line, but a guy named Lee Fuller sent me these because he saw me use an awl, try to get precise line. That's a machinist trick, you know, use a layout die and a sharp scratchy thing. These are super tricks. So I just wanted to say a huge shout out to Lee for, I don't know if it was pity or whether he just thought he was going to help, but regardless, I don't care. It's really nice to have something that can mark really precisely. There's that guy. Some gloves on. In case you haven't noticed, I've left several sharp corners on this, scabbing out patches and stuff like that. channel my inner Kiwi here. This guy, this is not a tricky cut at all. But I'm probably going to look like Popeye when it's done. Lee, thank you, man. These markers are great. All right, so we're gonna set this way down. The guide on the side told me 106 and 15 volts. And we're just gonna try. That's 15, we'll just go by. That guide does not let me down wrong yet. So we've got a good solid ground. Gas is on. All right, PPE, and we'll make things happen. Hot metal glue gun. It's a perfect fit. Not really. It's going to be fine. All right, so I'm going to back it off. I'm going to turn it down some because it's blowing through. The new metal is perfect. The other one, the other metal, not so perfect. It's still good. It's going to have to weld too, but since it's weaker, you kind of have to compensate for it. So I'm going to adjust the welder down. We're going to go 103. And 14. And we'll see what that does. Yeah, that's way better. I'm not blowing through. So I'm just going to work my way around. And yeah, sometime later on this year, we'll be done. All right, is it welded? Yes. Got good penetration, the patches are fine. Is it pretty? No, no it's not. I don't care, I've got grinders. Say what you want about that, but I do want to check my template. So this is the shape I know it needs to have on the bottom. And we are right there. So I'm just going to grind my welds. Round that corner a little bit, and I might dress the inside just a hair, and then skinning. All right. All right, so final preparation was these little nubulas from the factory welds on the top of the inside of the door frame, but I want to show you what we did around here. I took this guy, Mr. Fiber Wheel, and we're running out of this one, but got all of these surface areas de-rustified, ground down inside here. You can see the inside of my Frankenstein corner patch. It's going to be fine. Before we put the skin on, obviously I'm going to run down a bead of seam sealer on that as well as here, and ran a DA sander over top of it. So the outside of the door frame, I'm sorry, this part of the door frame is ready for the next step, and I'm just going to go ahead and wipe that with sealer and get that done, put some weld-through primer on the perimeter, and then we might talk about the outside of a little bit of it, and yeah, seam sealer. Isn't that fun? Cleaning the mud. The sealer is a DTM, and our metal's really clean. That doesn't mean I'm not going to make a horrible mess. I probably am. Now, I'm going to call that mission accomplished on that one. Oh, it's a wee little bit of sealer. Oh, it's tiny. Little blubber. Oh, I tell you what, it's just a little tube snack of a seam sealer right there. Oh, boy, oh. Oh, she's a little one, but she's good. She's a good, solid bit of sealer right there. Ah, that's right. Yeah. I'm sorry to every Irish and Scottish person that I've offended by slipping from both Scottish to Irish accent seamlessly. This is really nice what I'm doing here. Super good. No one will ever see this. I'm not really worried about how it looks. I just want to make sure that I get it smeared into those pockets. All right. Done on the back side. Now we get our, then I'll show you the front. Hang on, okay. Is that going to fall off? Maybe. All right, so it's not the greatest looking weld. I got in there with the grinder and kind of V'd out the valley a little bit. It's at the very bottom of the door. Come on, give me a break. And all I need is a flange here to fold my skin on top of, and I've accomplished that. This looks better. I'm fine with that. And I've matched it with my template, and I'm going to get the weld through primer. I'm going to put it on both sides just because it's not a bad idea to have a coat of primer in between bare metal and door skinnage. And we're going to go from there. So the next step is putting the door skin on the frame, right? We got some clamping to do, but yeah, anyway, primer. I'm having second thoughts about something. I see a couple little rust spots here and here. I got to do it, folks. I'll lie awake and I got to get the fiber wheel. Hang on, give me a second. It's a curse. All right, well that dries. Can I do this? Yeah. Call the chiropractor later. But what I'm going to do is put the skin here, upside down. And we're just going to kind of address some of the stuff that's in here. There's a little, the packing material is right there. It's just a little bit of foam that's glued on there. That might interfere with my fit. These labels don't bug me too much, but they look cheesy, and I want to get them out of there. And the rest of the skin is fine. There's no need for any prep. I've got enough of an opening with the window regulator out that if I want to put some sound deadener there, I can. I'm not sure if I want to add weight to these doors. Know what I'm saying? Anyway. I'm not going to do any painting, but this right here, where I've had to hammer and dolly a little bit, I need to do a little bit of something to that, because the last thing I want is to create an opportunity for rust when I've spent all this time getting rid of it. So, here's my secret. I'll pass it on to you, and I'll trade you a favor. I'll keep giving you all my 30 years plus of body shop secrets if you subscribe. Deal? Deal. Okay, so this is wax and grease remover. You can see how it changes the color of the sticker. The solvent is very mild. It's not going to hurt the primer. But what it does is it loosens up that adhesive. You do that, just hit it, soak it. By the time I come back around, I might hit it again, I don't know. By the time I come back around with some gloves on, PPE, those stickers should come right off. All right, so I'm going to little bit more solvent on there. Yeah, it just rolls up. Gone. Look at that. Holy smokes. That's terrific, isn't it? Yeah. Adhesive. David Copperfield would be proud of that. Here's another one. All right, like I said, the E-coat is in good shape, so I'm going to leave it alone. But I am going to scuff up into here to where my dolly, because I had to straighten that out. Did I tell you I had to straighten that out? Anyway, my dolly kind of made some marks. So I'm going to scuff that. We're going to throw a little jet of weld-through primer on there. For prudence sake, won't you come out and play? All right, while the primer's been drying, I've been adjusting my horse. I'm trying to show you, there's pads here and here. So I want these pads not in the middle, but I want those pads right here. See, this right here is a style line. Sheet metal that's stamped is always stronger around the style lines. So I want this laying in that valley, right along that style line, and right along this high crowned area here. Now, whatever, stands 101, but right here, you can see it in here. It's a tight radius right there. That's going to be strength in that panel, and obviously there's strength in the panel there. So it's not going to damage the door skin. So we put it, of course, in a linear pattern, and the pads of the stand right where the other things are, and by the time I finish explaining that, my primer's dry. So now the challenge is going to be lifting that door frame up and setting it down into the skin without a horrible calamity happening. So yeah, buckle up, Buttercup, here we go. I don't know if this is going to work or not. Oh, I thought I pinched my belly fat. Oh, I didn't. Okay. All right, so now we're almost there. We're to the front. Too much. There, okay. All right. That was surprisingly drama-free. Okay. I'm kind of happy with that. Normally, these door frames aren't 7,000 pounds like this one was. So you can see here what has to happen. This flange gets folded over, right? Folds over. And you can even see right here where one of the factory welds sits. So we've got to weld this portion to the inside of the skin there. It's double walled. It'll take it. It'll take the heat. But see how it's kind of floating. We need to figure out exactly where it goes. So I'm going to use the other door as a reference. See how much space is between that top, because that's where your fuzzies go. I want to see how much space is between the inner and outer door skin here. So let's take a trip. You know what? It's all covered up with a trim piece. All right, so I'm going to pull that molding off. Stand by. I don't think that's an original screw. It might be, I don't know. All right, so this is, what do we got here? An 1/8-ish, right? Maybe 3/16. No, and then we're back to about 1/4 here. All right, so let's look at this door now. That, it's still a little tight right there on this end. Yeah, it's kind of flush right there, and I don't want it to be. So whatever I did, that helped. And the door floats on it a little bit, right? So for a late model door skin, the SOP is to fold it over and not weld it, then test fit it on the vehicle compared to the other panels. We're out in the Wild West here with this one, so I'm going to make the skin fit the door frame, and if I have to adjust the panel later on, well, so be it. I can do it later on, but we're not going to fuss too bad about how this fits. The one thing that bugs me is this right here. That's got to fold over on that, and that's a little bit proud. So I'm going to make a quick reference mark on that, and we're going to trim that off. I'm going to pull about that much off of there to about there. Okay, that's enough. All right, so that got me out there. Mr. Flap Wheel's going to be my friend. All right, I feel better about that. Look at that. More room to, yeah. Boy, this thing just wants to creep down. And my distance here now is absolutely just really good. So, right there also. So I'm going to do a couple of things before we move forward. This right here, there's no relief right there. So I'm going to do a corner cut, a relief cut right there so that it doesn't bulge. I'm going to do that on each corner. All right, so look here. I'm going to roll with this. I feel good about that. It looks like the other door. I'm going to gently clamp that with the backer on each side. And I might go ahead and get brave and tack that. I'm trying to gently do this so I don't overpinch it. But I've got to get in there, so I've got a good clamp load on it. And, all right, I hope I'm not puckering the door frame on the outside. We'll see. All right, so I'm going to do this guy right here. So Russ over at Double R Restorations, he had an inspiring door skinning video. He used a scrap door shell and just did a practice skin. It's a great idea, but it gave me all kinds of good information. But he used a slightly different clamp on these. I'm a slave to these old body shop clamps, but the flat foot helps, and the wooden paint stir sticks help a lot. So we're just going to do one more down here. So big shout out to Russ. He's doing a cool Camaro, so go give his channel a look. He's doing some good stuff, and he's really meticulous with his body work. He's better at it than I am, actually. Because I don't think his stuff falls over the floor quite as much as mine, but anyway. Okay. All right, so we've got a flush fit. I'm happy with the spacing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here with my welder and I'm going to just tack this in place right there, and that's going to lock it in. All right? All right. All right, so that's locked that in, and it's locked everything in, actually, right? So I tacked where the factory welds were and gave it maybe 1 or 2 extras, but it's just a healthy tack along that top lip. It's not going to interfere with anything else. And it locks everything in place. So now no matter what I do, the skin's not going to move around. It's not going to shuffle around. We did center it up, make sure the overlap was about the same on all of the outside of the flange, and that I was happy with the distance between where the fuzzies go and the door skin itself. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what it looks like when it's on the car, but I think this is in a good spot. All right, door frame locked into where the skin is, but check this. We are still floating, right? It's still not a mating surface. It won't lock it in completely until I'm folded around all over the edge. That's the point that we're at now. If you've ever, there's some good door skinning videos out there on the web or net, but this is the way I learned how to do it. So what I'm going to do is tap this in to where it's about a 45-degree in all the way around. And I'm going to use a dolly under here to absorb some of the impact. Now these are the dollies I typically use. I like this guy because it's got a handle on it, super nice. This is typical heel dolly. You can see it's been around the block a time or two. It's what I use. It's anyway. But I have something different for skinning doors. This is a heel dolly, but I've glued an 1/8 inch piece of rubber onto the foot of it. The reason being is that if I'm tapping and holding the dolly here, it has a tendency to bounce. And the rubber not only helps absorb impact, but it also keeps it from damaging on the bounce back, if that makes sense. So there you go. There are dollies that are made with a rubber skin on them. I've seen homemade dollies. My buddy Glenn Massey had a homemade one with a rubber foot on it. And anyway, that's one of those things that I'm sorry, I'm squirreling. I'm looking at this right here. I may have to slice that on the outside skin because this has got to roll all the way in there. Anyway, all right, so what I'm going to do is just kind of work, not one side and work my way around. I'm going to work this end, the back end, and then the bottom, and I'm going to kind of sneak up on it and fold it in. I'm going to earplug up. Hi. So as I'm editing this video, and there's probably a good 20 minutes of hammering with a dolly supported underneath the outside of the door skin, I'm hearing in my head echoes of comments. And, you know, I don't live or die by the comments. I really appreciate them. I like them. But it's a conflict, the information I'm getting. Some people say you're fast forwarding too much. Some people say, I like how you fast forward between the spots where there's no talking. Some people say you're using the same old tired rock music, you know, and it's a 20-year-old format that you're using. The monotonous hammering, I feel like, is maybe something that we could fast forward through. I think you guys are sharp enough to get the picture. That's all I'm saying. So we might use a camera trick or two. We might use some fast motion video. We might lay some tired rock music underneath the montages of work happening. But if you can trust me, I can trust you. How's that? Let's put it that way. So sorry to Mike Regulo, I sweated up your shirt. Anyway, that is wrapped. Oh, I'm going to smash that a little bit more. And I can't really see, but I can feel that the front side, I don't think I screwed it up too bad. So what I'm going to do now, so I'm just going to do a couple of tacks with the welder. The reason I didn't punch holes and do a plug weld here and here is because it changes the pull of the metal as you fold it over, and it can move it around a little bit, and I didn't want to do that. And a couple little tack welds will hold it in place. I'll grind them flush. We're going to wipe seam sealer on there anyways, so that's just my way of doing things. So now we're going to ground up the panel again, and I'm going to zap, zap, zap a few times around the perimeter. And then I think I'm going to run a bead of seam sealer on it and call that a day, man. All right, welder. All right, so we're just running a bead with the tape. It gives us a nice edge, so we don't have to worry about being too careful. But I do want to get enough sealer in there to where it covers if there's any gap between the skin and the frame. Ish. All right. My mini spreader comes down here. And I'm just going slow so I get a good smush. Take a look. That looks pretty smushed to me. So right here, oh, we'll get that with the sealer. Now, tape comes off. Put that in a safe, dry place. I get my wax and grease remover, kind of hose it down liberally. And now I smooth the seam out. It's like bathroom tub and tile caulking. And that looks good enough to me. All right, that's it. So I'm going to let that set for just a little bit, and we'll flip the door over and look at the top side. All right, let's take a look, shall we? All right, so I got to get a wiping towel. That seam sealer, probably. Yeah, a bunch of debris. So we're going to have to do some correcting. For the most part, the skin looks really good, but you can see up here, I've got to dolly that down, metal finish it, probably a skim coat of filler on this edge, and right here, the style line, for some reason, dips down, so I'll correct that with a hammer and dolly, after my sealer's dried, of course. Up here, we've got a little pop knot right there. That's from the inner frame, just a sort of just a distortion from the inner frame. And up here is pretty good. The style line matches the peak right here. I'm happy with that. Right here, this is where my tack welds were. That's just a blister in the sheet metal from the heat. I don't care about that. I'm going to see if I can get that off. And this monkey business up in here, that's from where some knucklehead dropped it when he was taking it out of the box. I'm not worried about that. I'll hammer dolly that again a little bit. This, yeah, it's a little distorted. I got wet sealer on the back side. I can flatten that out. There's no such thing as a door skin that you're not going to have to do a little bit of follow-up repair on. I'm going to show you one technique to see how to do things right here. I don't want to mess with the back side because I got a nice bead of sealer on there. But I'm going to do one little spot here just to show you what I'm going to do with the rest of it. But anyway, hang on. I've got to get a tool. All right, so I've got this little pimple right here. So I'm going to slap that down with a slapping spoon. All right, now this is a lead file, but these are really handy for showing me what's on the top surface. So we're just going to draw the file over top of this edge. And it also removes a boatload of metal in a hurry. So I can file this down. And because it is very flat, it shows me where the metal is not. You can see the low spots and high spots. My little pimple is gone. So now what I'm going to do is hit that with 80 grit, and that'll show me where I need filler. Now you can get an idea of what kind of condition the metal is surrounding the folded on skin. And I'm okay with that. That's a tiny little skim coat of filler. I'll do that. I'll chase that edge all the way around, and yeah, we'll have some filler on there. I'm not going to do too much until we fit it onto the car, which I'm not ready to do yet. I may have to do some correcting on these. Seems like this scoops in a little bit more than what I'm seeing right here. There's lots of room to tap that in, even cut it and re-weld it if I have to. But for the most part, mission accomplished. Door skin, here we go. Looks so much better than what we started with. And this was, it probably still is, it was oil canning like crazy. All right, so there's my version of a door skin. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm going to say, if you watched until this point, you know that I appreciate you, man. It's great to have you here. Last week's video was not Camaro. This week's video is Camaro. Next week's video is not going to be Camaro. Here's why. We're in the middle of something big, and it's not YouTube. It's my training programs. They've come to the point where we're now ready to start getting them in trade schools, high school shop programs, colleges, things like this. I've worked for a long time, for years, on getting this course ready. It's fundamental collision repair for people just coming into the industry. So we're at the point where we're ready to go and talk to high school instructors and deans and colleges, and we've been granted our ASE accreditation on this, and that was the huge door opener for us. So that's why you're not getting Camaro videos every week. And that's why we went back to Derek's truck last week. And hang in there with me. We're going to finish this car. It's going to be great. But I can't tell you how thrilled, humbled, and excited that I am at this point in my career and our lives up here in this little ecosystem that we've got going here at Paintucation, that we're ready to give back to the industry in a big way. So that's why you're going to see some inconsistency, and I hope you understand. Hope you keep coming back. We're not going to abandon you Saturday morning, man. Every Saturday we're committed. But yeah, that's it. Thanks for everything. Thanks for buying shirts. Thanks for clicking the links in the channels and going to visit my friends when I tell you about them. And thanks for staying here. Thanks for sticking with us. And we really appreciate you. So hope everything goes great in your garage. Have a great summer. Go see some car shows, and we'll see you next week.